Hello, guys, and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 15, the last one before the World Cup, and with Napoli opening the gap. Danny, on top of the table, how are you?
I'm alright, very well. Napoli won as we expected. They suffered a little bit against Empoli, so we could say they are winter champions, if you like. I mean, because at the break they are, of course, unreachable for Milan. Very interesting midweek games. Still, we got two games to play today at the time of recording. Of course, Lazio, Monza, Verona, Juventus, but we are already looking forward to Matchday 15.
Exactly. So, guys, remember to comment the video with us, and of course, don't forget, press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. Non-stop football in Italy every single day of the week, because this match day starts on Friday and we have Empoli Cremonese. And talking about Cremonese, one of the biggest surprise in the middle of the week, able to draw against Milan. Milan had their chances, but at the end, another draw, 7 draws for Cremonese, still with no victories, remember. But they are alive, and even if they are able to win and to beat Empoli, they can be out of the relegation zone or with the same points as Spezia. And this Empoli also, they put a fight, Danny, against Napoli.
Did we not say that Milan was going to struggle against Cremonese? That was one of the right picks, of course. By the way, hi to Benjamin, Abedi, Isaias, Harry. Thanks for following us from all over the world.
Sweden, England, Ghana, and Italy, all over the world.
Okay, that's really good. And Cremonese, well done. Good point against Milan. Totally deserved. A few great saves from Carnesecchi, the goalkeeper. Is one to watch, I think, also for the national team. But set up well. Despite Alvini making 8 changes to the formation, they really dug deep, and they got a good point. I think. Okay, Cremonese still without wins in Serie A, but the signs and the improvements, of course, are there. They need to find a little bit more of their scoring pedigree, but after all, they never got trashed. This is a newly promoted side. They always held their own very well. And Empoli against Napoli, again, they had a good game plan. They set up a little bit defensively in the Maradona, and in the end, it was a rigorino, a small penalty, not real a clear penalty. That's how we say in Italy when the VAR intervenes. Won it by, of course, Osimhen. And Empoli, were not able to keep the clean sheet. But I think improvements as well from Paolo Zanetti's side, who are much better away than at home. But for this one, I don't think they're going to lose it. And the odds for Empoli not to lose the game, they are very appealing. Asian handicap 0 for Empoli, were 177. Okay, a little bit cautious if you like. A team, not a match that no one really wants to lose. It could be a draw. You get your money back. If Empoli wins, you get 177.
Next game on Saturday, we have 3 games. Napoli, Udinese, 8 points, as I said at the beginning, from Milan. Only 2 draws in this first half of the season before the break. Is astonishing what Napoli is doing. I guess now they believe in the Scudetto, and they have the right to believe, of course. And Danny, before we go into the break, they have to beat Udinese, a team that is falling in the table, but be careful because they are not losing. It's true that they drew a lot, 5 draws in the last 6 games, but they are still competitive. They are still a good team.
They seem to me, Udinese, a little bit tired. They started the season very well. They were one of the fittest team in Serie A, but now the form has dipped a little bit. Look at a player like Deulofeu, how influential was in the first couple of months, and now is getting a little bit sluggish, a little bit pedestrian, if you like. Against Spezia, they scored, the goal got disallowed, then they went behind, managed to equalize again, hit the bar at the end, so it could have gone either way. They are not losing, but I think they lost a little bit of that spark that they had at the beginning of the season. And Napoli, a win, hard-fought win. This is a game the last season they probably would have drawn. So again, they got out of that bad habits of dropping points at home. This season they only dropped 2 points against Lecce in the second match day. So 12 wins, 2 draws. They are 5 points clear on Milan, and again the substitutions from Spalletti making an impact in the second half when he 8 points from Milan. No, 5 points.
Yeah.
8 points, yeah, of course. 8 points,
yeah.
8 points clear. Yeah, of course, yeah, because it's a draw against Milan. So yeah, huge lead for Napoli, and the substitution of Spalletti make a difference. He brought in the Czech Lozano, Zielinski in the second half, a great impact from them. Kvaratskhelia might be back for this one, and maybe at least for the second half. I think Napoli should have no problem to negotiate this game against Udinese. You might want to go for an Asian handicap, maybe -1. I'm going to stick for the value, only for the value side. Napoli to win the first half, 205.
8 points clear, but still the bookies think Milan are favorites to win the Scudetto. Still Milan are favorites in front of Napoli, but this Napoli, of course, they have the right to believe that finally they can win a Scudetto after Diego Armando Maradona did it. Next game, Dani, Sampdoria, Lecce, two teams in trouble, especially, of course, Sampdoria, another defeat, 2-0 against Torino, 3 consecutive defeats with no goals scored. Is worrisome what is happening with Sampdoria. Now they are 4 points away from Spezia, and they face a team like Lecce, Dani, that I think no one saw coming the victory against Atalanta, although at home we know, and you said it, that they are a good team.
They are a good side. Lecce, they're a side that spends a lot of time defending their own half, a lot of positional defense, if you like. But when they start going on the counter, they are dangerous, and they got players like Strefezza, Banda, Seire, Alvarez, who move the ball quickly. You know, they don't really think too much about just one pass, go, movement. So they're really dangerous, especially against static defenses, and they caught Atalanta on the break very well. One goal from a corner from Baschirotto, again, good physicality there in the back four of Lecce. Difficult to tackle. Sampdoria, another defeat. If you look at the points per game, the difference between Giampaolo and Stankovic is becoming very, very almost no difference. Yes, there's been a little bit of a reaction from the team with Stankovic, a bit more of aggressiveness, if you like, but not enough of the goals scored. They are the worst attack at home, only 2 goals scored, no wins at home so far. 2 points, really desperate for points at the moment for a team that hasn't won a match, that don't score much. Can they do it this time against Lecce? I don't know, because I think Lecce is a team that has showed us time and time again they can find the net, and Sampdoria are really struggling at the moment to create clear-cut chances. Good odds, whatever you choose across the full-time market, but I'm going to go for an Asian handicap 0 in the first half, 206 for Lecce. So I don't think Lecce are going to lose the first half. If they draw the first half, money back. If they win the first half, which will be a great result from them, 206 for you.
Bad times for the teams in Genoa. Genoa in the second division in Serie B, and Sampdoria struggling. We have people from Serbia, Somalia, Zambia, Canada.
Wow.
Hello to everyone.
In Canada, it must be
10 p.m. I guess. Depends on the coast.
Yeah, depends on the coast.
Yeah, should be around 10 p.m.
All right.
On the Wednesday.
Yes, it's already yesterday.
Of course, on Wednesday. Yeah, still Wednesday.
It's great. Juan, I hope you get excited by the Canada playing, of course, in the World Cup. We'll have all the World Cup previews in the next weeks. Obviously, we'll talk about Canada as well.
Indeed, Dani, let's talk a little bit about Bologna Sassuolo, although it's not as exciting as the World Cup, especially because these two teams are in the middle of the table. Bologna thrashed by Inter. Sassuolo grabbed a point against Roma, but Bologna looks forgetting the game against Inter, of course, they look better than Sassuolo. We have to forget that game.
I think Bologna, they gave us the good impression for at least 30 minutes because they went for it, they tried, and this is something they've been doing under Thiago Motta time and time again. They are a bit more courageous on the ball. At the end, the defending was a bit shocking. few silly mistakes. They gave the ball away a lot in the second half. Motta made some substitution, brought in Sosa, debutant. He gave away a penalty. It was easily done by Di Marco for the 4-1. In the end, Bologna fell a little bit apart, but okay, maybe it's a game that they thought they were never gonna pick up many points from. So that's fine for them. I mean, the progress can continuing it. Sassuolo against Roma. I mean, playing against Roma at the moment is very difficult because Roma plays badly and makes you play badly as well. So I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, really, for Jose Mourinho's side. But good reaction because they thought the game was lost and actually found another goal with Pinamonti. Needs to score a little bit more. Sassuolo haven't scored many goals so far this season, but maybe Berardi might be back for this one. Actually had a good chance at the end to make it 2-1 against Roma. I think Bologna have changed the way they play, have changed the mindset. So I think you can expect goals. They scored in the last 5 consecutive games, Bologna. Won 3 actually, and they won 2 coming back from a losing position. So I'm expecting goals here as well. Maybe Arnautovic is due a goal. He has scored many recently after his injury. Was out for a stomach problem anyway. Over 2.5 goals here, 190.
Goals then in the Renato Dallara, both to score an over 2.5 goals is Santa's pick. So very similar to yours, actually. Next games on Sunday, Atalanta Inter, the best game we have in this match day, together with Juve Lazio. Atalanta, they are in bad run. Even away they lost. Usually they are more reliable playing away than at home. 3 defeats in the last 4. Whereas for Inter, Danny, you just commented and mentioned the thrashing result, 6-1 against Bologna, but this one is another big test away after the defeat against Juve.
Yeah, don't take into account too much. I mean, the 6-1 of Bologna, they beat them last season again, 6-1. It's one of those games, everything went for Inter. They were really clinical, really good, took the chances really well, probably the best conversion rate this season. You know, they hope they're going to carry on into away and into playing against Atalanta. They haven't yet won a big game Inter season apart from the win against Barcelona, against Juventus, where dominant in the first half. They didn't take the chances, and then they got done in the only possible way Juventus could score, so in the counter. And, they conceded already 20 goals this season, Inter, although the Bologna goal was a deflection, a little bit of a fluke. It is a game, let's put it away. Inter have lost already 5 games in Serie A. They cannot afford to lose this one because already questions have been asked to Simone Inzaghi about the away form has been particularly poor. They are 11 points behind Napoli. They play Napoli after the break, so they need to win this one to have just a small chance to fight for the Scudetto. I think the Scudetto race for Inter is over. They're going to play for the 4th spot and try to do as best as they can in the cup competitions. Again, without Lukaku here, so again, another big shift for Dzeko, who scored a magnificent goal against Bologna. Lautaro scored. He's a streaky striker, so he could start scoring now and carrying on into the World Cup. He's the kind of striker that as soon as he starts scoring 4 or 5 games consecutive and then doesn't score for a month or so. Atalanta, they made 9 changes at Lecce, and I think it showed. Although Atalanta team is deep enough, I think it's about the balance of the team, finding the right position, and they start conceding a lot of goals recently. They lost 3 out of the last 4. I never thought for a minute they were going to become master of defenses. Does not like the Atalanta players, does not the way Gasperini plays. He tries to be a little bit more balanced and not push the line too much, not press so aggressively. But I think what they lack sometimes is the creativity in the number 10 role. Malinowski, Pasalic, they've not been consistent enough to offer that supplies to the strikers. In the second half against Lecce, Gasperini made some changes. They got back into the game, but it was probably too late. I like the odds for Inter here, 235, but I never bet on an Inter win. I'm gonna go for an Asian handicap 0 for Inter in the first half, which pays 178. So if it's a draw, you get your money back. If Inter manages to score the first goal, probably gonna go and win the first half, 178.
But it's good to highlight, I think, the good odds for Inter. Santa is also telling us that
Yes.
Nerazzurri, it pays well, the victory for Inter against Atalanta. Big game. This one. Next one, Danny, Roma, Torino. I was reading today the news around Roma and about Mourinho
Yes.
shooting everyone but himself and blaming everyone but himself after another bad result, the draw against Sassuolo. The thing is that Roma spent a lot of money and was built to do much more than what they are doing this season. They are the last from the top teams, apart from Juventus. And the thing is that the team is not clicking. They are not getting the results. He was blaming a footballer that he didn't want to say the name.
Karsdorp. People think it's Karsdorp. It's Karsdorp, yeah.
About this draw, what do you think about this game? Should they bounce back Belotti against his former club?
Yeah, that's a good angle to see it. It will be interesting to see how much you pay for Belotti to be anytime scorer against the former side Torino, side of course he captain. I feel for Mourinho because he obviously expected a different outlet this season with the likes of Wijnaldum that we never saw, Dybala who got injured, Spinazzola who still recovered from the injury. After all, it's the same team as last season, and some of the players are underperforming. The defense, it is what it is. They do make every now and then a mistake, like the one Ibanez made in the derby. The midfield, if you have to play with Matic and Cristante, I mean, good luck. Really, where is the creativity? Where is the pass that can split defenses? They're very solid, they're reliable, but they can easily be blocked and outpassed. Up front, Abraham scored against Sassuolo. That's a good news, but his form has been terrible. Zaniolo is not quite the same before of the injury. I mean, he lost a bit of progression. He also sometimes seems to be drifting out from games. Belotti only scored 1 goal so far. There are a few young players that are interesting, the likes of Lovato, Zalewski, already debuted last season, but they're not consistent enough. You cannot just do it with the young players. So you really have to feel for Mourinho. They thought they won it at Sassuolo, and then they let it slip. Things are not going the way. On the other side, Torino, they're doing really well at home. Second wins on the bounce, scored against 2 goals. Against Bologna, a few silly mistakes costed them the points, but I think they were in the game for at least 50 minutes. They were the better side. It is a team that, despite the lack of strikers, they still create quite a lot. First goal for Radonic in Serie A. Of course, the return of Milan should help them. And it's a very aggressive side. They're going to press Roma really high and make life very difficult, I think, for Roma to find a breakthrough. I cannot see many goals here. It could be even go a double chance for Torino. I think it plays really well. I'm going to go for under 2.5 goals or 183.
Usually it's good betting on under in Roma games this
They don't
season.
score. I mean, look. I think they only scored 16 goals so far. Since Dybala is not there really. They've been struggling.
17 actually. Yeah, I'm checking on Oddspedia that you have all this data. Well, let's move on to the next game. We have Monza Salernitana. Still, we have to know what Monza is doing against Lazio. But what we know, Danny, is that at home they are becoming strong. 3 victories in the last 4 in the U-Power Stadium. And they are welcoming Salernitana, lost to Fiorentina 2-1. I think you actually predicted also Fiorentina to win here.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised to see these low odds. No, Monza is very favorite to win this game.
It is. I mean, considering we don't know what they're going to do at Lazio, but it's true that in the last 4 games at home, they always scored. The 3 wins, they were wins to nil. It's a bit difficult to judge before, obviously, the game against Lazio, but we know that Monza and now with Palladino have got a good system. The wing backs press high, especially Augusto on the left-hand side. They got goal scorers in Petagna, Caprari. I think, they are a side that they look comfortable and no longer in desperate position as they were before. Salernitana much more improved since last season. No matter if they play at home or away, they often find the goal. They have quality players. I could expect them to score here. Against Fiorentina, they were beaten, but they were giving really a good account of themselves. both to score here. 178, of course. Check the Monza results against Lazio tonight that we predicted in the previous video. See the lineups, but I think both to score you can be pretty sure in my land.
Excel is going for both teams to score as well. Corello is flagging double chance for Salernitana since they are the
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, Monza is a very experienced side, but yeah, Salernitana away this season done well. You know, they won at Lazio, they drew against Juventus, they score. Yeah, they don't get look. Salernitana doesn't get trashed like last season, so yeah, double chance potentially.
Important game, this one for the relegation battle, and also the next one, especially the next one. Verona Spezia, because Spezia, they are fourth from bottom, and they drew against the Udinese, only 2 points in the last 7 games, so we can say for sure that they are not good, especially when they are playing away. They are awful, and Verona, Danny, desperately, they need to win a football game.
Oof, yes, they are without wins in 8 consecutive defeats. Even when they changed the manager with Salvatore Bocchetti, still continue to lose. Again, some slight signs of improvements. They are more aggressive. They create more chances. They cannot score a goal to save their lives. Verona, let's see what they do against Juventus. I predicted in the previous video. Well, you go and watch it and see what I predicted, by the way. Verona, why spoiling it? Spezia fighting Spezia, against Udinese, had good chances after the 1-0. They could have scored the second, hit the bar with Ampadu. Again, I still feel they're going to try to get as many points as possible at home, and the away form so far, only 1 goal scored, all defeats. But slightly, but certainly they are getting a little bit more of belief in themselves. And this is a match for Spezia that they can look at and think, we can get points here, I think. And Gotti being experienced and having done that with Udinese when he saved them, I think is gonna set them up very well and not to lose this one. They also Spezia to win are really good, and I do kind of fancy them, but I'm gonna go for an X2 double chance, which I mean the odds are really, really good. 185. This is not a 6-pointers. This is a 7-pointers. I think it's like such an important game. Spezia comes with more belief. I don't think they're gonna lose this one.
Well, a very important game, especially for Verona, in my opinion, because they are 5 points away from Spezia. Imagine that they lose this one. It's going to be 8 with a direct rival and sink in the bottom of the table. Danny, let's analyze the last 2 ones and our good ones. Milan, Fiorentina, and this is a tricky game for Milan because we are seeing that they are struggling in the last games, even at home against Spezia, which was supposedly an easy game. They drew against Cremonese. That's why the gap is open with 8 points from Napoli. And because Fiorentina, Danny, they are growing. You mentioned in the previous video that they turned the corner, that they are finally getting the results. And they grab another victory. And what is more important and more astonishing is that Luka Jovic scored a goal.
Yeah, 5th win on the bounce for Fiorentina, always scoring 2 goals or more. Another goal for Luka Jovic. It seems they found the right balance with Jonathan Icone plays on the wide, then alternating Jovic and Cabral in midfield. Again, they make more. I mean, they also do the defensive work a little bit better. Things are going better. I think Fiorentina is returning to the quality and to the points that we were expecting from them after the good season last season with Vincenzo Italiano. I think from now on, Fiorentina only have to play 1 game per week. I think we'll see best result probably going into the New Year's, and they go to Milan knowing that they can score goals, especially against a defense that so far only kept 3 clean sheets in Serie A. It was a clean sheet at Cremonese, but obviously Cremonese never troubled them too much. They missed a few chances with Origi. Carnesecchi made a good save, but they looked tired. They looked with the lack of ideas. They were missing Theo Hernandez suspended, Giroud suspended, Leao on the bench for 60 minutes. Out of a sudden, yes, where is the quality from Milan, considering also on the right-hand side, there are a lot of injuries, Calabria, Florenzi, Salamakers, etc. And then again, it's almost like when we said about Roma. If the new signings for Milan are not really delivering, because Origi only scored 1 goal so far this season, and he's not been really influential. I mean, Giroud, it's much more effective. De Ketelaere, 5 starts in Serie A, 1 assist, is gone missing. It doesn't really leave an impact on the game. The other signings have been in the defensive area, Thio, Vranks, Dest, but they don't really get many minutes from the start. It's the same team. It's the same team as last season, which did this season really well in the Champions League. So obviously they must have got tired and then produced more effort to go through the group stage, which was not straightforward. And I think they're paying the price a little bit in Serie A. Add to that they are still without Magnan, which I think, it affects them not only for the goalkeeping of Tatarusano, but also for the distribution with the feet. Magnan is much, much better. So yeah, you can understand why Milan are struggling, but they still got a very strong collective, a strong belief. We see them many, many times with the back against the wall, picking results. So if it's a win for Milan here, I think it's going to be a very marginal win. So any Asian handicap plus 0.75, plus 1 for Fiorentina, I like them. I'm going to stick to the most obvious one for me, which is the over 2.5 goals, 197, considering Milan are getting back some of the best players from suspension. Fiorentina have been scoring. And yeah, it suggests me they're going to go there confident they can score more. Over 2.5, 197.
Magnan is missing the World Cup. We already know the list of the Deschamps. Giroud is going. Well, we have some comments here. Correct score 1-0 for Milan.
No, 1-0. No. I said could be no. It cannot be 1-0.
You said goals.
2-1. If it's Milan win 2-1.
Is Milan tired in your opinion? Is that the problem for them?
Yes, as well. Yeah, I think they are tired. I think the lack of rotations, the fact that Pioli had to make a lot of changes. Sometimes when they leave out Tonali and Bennacer, they struggle to finish the 90 minutes. Yeah, they look a bit tired as well.
Well, and the last game in this match day is Juve Lazio. After everything that had happened this season, Juve can go into the break in the Champions League spots if they win the game they have in the middle of the week. And this one, they will have more points than Roma, than Lazio, for instance, than Atalanta, than Inter. So, Danny, we cannot, of course, know what is going to happen on Thursday because Juve are playing on Thursday, but we saw a competitive Juve against Inter, perhaps overplayed in the first half, but still they were able to resist. And the same we can say for Lazio. I think both teams got a kind of a resilience victory in their derbies.
Yeah, they were 2 very ugly win, but when people say ugly win, still 3 points and it's still a lot of effort that is to go into it. It's very difficult to win big matches in Italy with a very clear margin. So Juventus did the job. We still don't know if the Juventus is cured enough. I still think against the top teams that put the chances away, which Inter haven't done, they're probably going to go 1 or 2-0 down at the first half. But, it is a team that is in transition, that is slowly getting back his best players. I think we're going to still the best Juventus if we see them in the new year once Chiesa is back and maybe Pogba and Paredes will be back from injuries. At the moment, we see a very solid defensively Juventus that doesn't concede many clear chances, is the best defense of Serie A. And they might get, the ugly wins, the wins by small margins as well, which... it's Allegri a trademark. I don't expect anything spectacular from Juventus at the moment. In the big games at home so far this season, they've not been too bad. Against Roma 1-1, they should have won. Against Inter, they won, of course. So I think they approached this with relatively good confidence. Let's see what happens at Verona, of course. First, again, go to the other video we done to see my analysis and my prediction. Same for Lazio, the plays against Monza. I think if Immobile is not starting against Monza, he's definitely starting for this one, which gives them a boost. And Lazio, is a team that manages the ball well, moves it well, is not amazingly spectacular, especially when they travel from home. But let's not forget 2 weeks ago, what a great win they had in Bergamo against Atalanta, and they were really clinical and really composed against a top team. So they are a side that, you know, they can really manage themselves in big games. They beat Inter so far this season, deservedly lost to Napoli, didn't deserve to lose. I'm gonna be cautious again because I haven't watched Juventus Verona, Juventus, and Lazio Monza, obviously. Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Lazio in the first half, 181. So that means if Lazio wins the first half, you win 181. If Lazio draws the first half, you win half your stake. If Juventus win the first half, you lose your stake.
We have Corello and Wanchuk trusting Juve, although we had some disappointments with Juve in this season, but they both trust them. And something that is appealing, Danny, Corello telling us that he's going for an under 2.5 goals since we are not seeing many goals in the big games in Italy.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good angle. Yeah, often the big games in Italy, they do kind of disappoint. They dampen down the enthusiasm. Under 2.5 goals is risky because Milan-Napoli finished 1-2, Lazio-Napoli 1-2, Lazio-Inter 3-1, Milan-Juve 2-0. You have to go maybe for the under 2.75, under 3 goals to give yourself a little bit of a parachute there in case there is the trick. Because, you know, after all, these are all teams that can score goals, really. So, yeah, it's a bit risky. I like this angle, but maybe under 2.75 goals, under 3 goals, just to be sure you don't want to lose your stake.
Well, the good news, Danny, is that very soon, probably even today, everyone, guys, you can go to the Oddspedia website and make your own tips and check what the community is telling us because we are going to release a new tip section. So it's going to be very helpful. I think for everyone to go there, check the tips, check what people have to say about the games. So hopefully today we will see it live and there will be quiz. You can win prizes. And it will be fun and hopefully also a very good tool to place your bets and know what people think. That is always very good. Danny?
It's fantastic. I'm going to make my tips there as well. So, you know, we can see where we are in the stands. We can challenge each other. We can have a banter. You can see how difficult it is. You can see how difficult it is to predict every single day, every single match day, 10 games, and, you know, try to get as much as possible for fun, of course, but can give you some good insight on what people think, where to go, you know, knowledge, inside knowledge, analysis. You know, it's a tool. Make your own. Is another way for you to make your own research, learn more about football. If you want to put a bet, put a bet. Otherwise, just play for fun and win prizes because that's more important. Win prizes.
And it's fun because you can write your comments, you can back your tips, so you can spend some time and have some fun creating your tips and checking what people think. Next time when we talk, Danny, for the World Cup and for the Serie A after the World Cup, of course, we can show the tip section and play a little bit around. But first, let's try to see your safe bet, Danny, for this match day.
My safe bet, which is the last one for 2022 in Serie A, is Atalanta Inter, both team to score 163.
All right, goals in Bergamo and the ACCA.
3 games, Napoli to beat Udinese, Verona, Spezia under 3.5 goals, Fiorentina, Milan, both team to score, total odds 406.
Thank you, Danny. We have here the last ACCA of before the World Cup. Of course, we will be here next week to analyze every single game in Qatar. In the meantime, don't forget to press the like, subscribe, comment, and thank you everyone for following us and being with us. See you very soon. Bye.
Ciao, see you soon. Bye-bye.